Yo, 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 guys, what is up? And welcome back to another episode of the Game 6 Klay podcast. It's your boy Gautam with my boys Matt and Chuck. And gentlemen, we back. It's the regular season. It's been a couple games in, but here at Game 6 Klay, we took a little extended off season, enjoy the ring night, some traveling, some new jobs, some wedding crashers, a lot of stuff going on here for us three. But gentlemen, welcome back. It's a pleasure to hop back on the mic. Before we get back into Dubs basketball and everything, as always, how we doing, brothers?
We're doing great. We're doing great. Like you said, new job. It's good to have our international man of travel back with us. I'm glad that Matt was able to survive his weekend of friend's nuptials. That's always good.
There we go.
He's back off the IV, got
This
all the color
is
in him.
this is my hand like poking through the grave in the dirt right now. This is me coming back to life. So no, stoked.
Matt's
Chuck,
got that old man recovery now. He's getting up there.
dude,
Dude,
it's
it's
a 4 day
it's the
process,
season
man. This
for
is
rising
not
from the dead. We love it.
That's
yes, sir.
amazing.
But yeah, things are good. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, man, you already kind of hit it, dude. It's wedding season, baby, in the words of Vince Vaughn. Yeah, I'm torched. I'm not gonna lie. I was telling the guys I both weddings were on Warriors game days, the most recent two, so I'm a little bit behind. I've caught the gist of most of them and parts of condensed games, but that just tells you how little I've seen so far. But I'm ready to contribute with expertise. So here we go.
As always, we don't have any insiders or what was the thing? We don't have any team associates or whatever, but we still got some good takes.
Just
I
just
like
three fans who watch
There's three
games.
fans who watch games, and I think we know a little bit about hoops. So, getting right into it, gentlemen. The Warriors season's back. Warriors start off 2-1. Got a dub against the Lakers and the Kings. Dropped one against the Nuggets, but overall, first three games of the season, Steph Curry coming out on a tear, averaging 33. The core six kind of looks like they did as they ended last season, winning a ring. And then there's also the young guys. A lot of balancing going on between development and kind of just molding these guys into the players we want them to be come playoff time. But Chuck, sir, I'm gonna start off with you. What were your takeaways from the first three games? What do you like, not liked? Just the basketball savant in you. What have you seen? Let us know, brother. Which take it away.
Yeah, so I think on the whole, like you said, 2-1, got to feel pretty good about that. The Nuggets are going to be a really tough team. Michael Porter Jr. has been so impressive. I mean, obviously Nikola Jokic is amazing, but he played incredible, shut down Steph on that last possession, which I don't think anyone saw coming. But I think, as much talk as there's been about the bench, and we're definitely going to get into that later, it shouldn't be lost on everyone how unbelievable the starters are. Like they're just walking right in, getting right back to it. There was a play, I believe it was in last night's game, where they ran like a Keegan Murray, Chimezi Metu pick and roll. Draymond and Looney were the guys guarding it, and all the other three starters standing around didn't even flinch to try to like offer help because they knew those two would just shut it down. Like they're just ready. They're just back into it. They're like everyone's roaring. Like all the offseason drama is behind them. Like guys got their extensions. Draymond's put shit behind him clearly, and they're ready to rock. Like you said, Steph has been unreal to start off the season. he's just he's just
So
timeless, man. It's incredible. And I think we've seen Clay's had some struggles, I think, more on the defensive end, but what I've seen from him offensively is good. I think he's being more proactive as a playmaker. He's feeling a lot more natural than he did last year, where it sort of felt like a lot of, square peg and a round hole, like kind of ISO possessions that took away from the offense. And now it feels like he's more back into things. So that's been great. Draymond's Draymond. He's making plays. He's shutting down Anthony Davis. He's running all over the floor. He's setting things up in transition. Kavon's doing work. Uh, the one change I want to highlight there, and I think we've all kind of seen it, is Andrew Wiggins is just he's carrying like right up at this level that we left off with in the playoffs. He's been aggressive. He's been all over the board still. He's looking for his shot, but not in an unproductive way. Like he's sprinting down, he's getting switched on the smaller guys, he's posting them up and going to work. And I just sounded like the ball don't stop guy, but you know what I mean? Like it's awesome. Like it's awesome to watch him just be aggressive and confident because he's so talented. So I don't know. What are you guys seeing? It kind of feels like, business as usual, except for Wiggins maybe stepping up a little bit among the starters.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, I
so
think
Gotham,
go
go,
for
go,
it,
go,
man.
go.
No, Matt, all you, brother.
Dude, thanks, man. No, I'm not seeing a whole lot yet. You know what I mean? But Steph, I know, has just like we kind of predicted, all three of us, if I recall correctly, that he would kind of come out guns blazing this year because there's such a weight off the shoulder of a guy who just led this, historic championship run, and the guy who did what he did in the finals against the defense he did it against. And so it's not surprising to see Steph coming out the way he is. And it's kind of one of those things where, just like you were saying, the starters, I saw their overall plus minus this year is already absurd. But on a more on the converse note, the bench is the exact opposite. But these guys just they know how to play together already, which is sweet, and it's only going to get better because the only time we've seen those five together was the playoffs last year, right? That group of their starting five. So it's going to get better and better as the year goes on. Um, and Wiggins doing this early is pretty much all you could ask for. Like this guy looks, from what I understand from game one at least, which is the only one I caught the full game of, he looks like a guy who came out of that series being told by everybody he's the second best player in this team, and he's playing like it. And I'm God, I've got some. If I had more money, I tell you what, I'd put it on Wiggins making an all-star team. I think it's a possibility this year that he makes a second one, but in more of a situation where we're not talking about um, the votes coming from the pop stars. So far so good. I'm excited to actually catch some games going forward tonight, especially. Nothing like beating the Suns ever, and Chris Paul. So looking forward to this. But Gotham, what are you thinking, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of what Chuck said. I think it's great to see kind of validate what we saw in the playoffs last year, just how good this starting lineup can be. And like you said, they only started playing together really in the playoffs, and we saw that kind of come together as each round went by. But now, like especially when you're developing these young guys, like you said, the bench has been a problem in terms of just defensively, and what these young guys are going to do. And I think that's something that coming into the season, if you didn't expect something like this to happen, you kind of had your expectations were off. These guys are 19, 20, and starting their NBA careers. James Wiseman's played for like 35 games in the NBA. Kuminga, Moody are figuring it out. I think that they're still trying to figure out their roles. Moody is a little bit more I think like season got a roll. I've liked what I've seen from Moses so far this season. But it just shows that this team can develop and still win games at the same time. I think that like you said, Steph Curry, I think at this point he's the greatest player in the league right now. I think that there's nothing you can do to stop him offensively. The guy's getting to the free throw line now. I think he had 9 in the first 2 games, and I think he still had 4 or 5 in the second one or the third game against the Kings, and averaging at 33 on pretty good shooting splits. Steph's just he's a walking 30 ball right now, and not saying that he wasn't before, but the man is unstoppable offensively right now. And you combine the fact with Klay's on a minutes restriction, Draymond's kind of playing himself back into shape. So the starting lineup itself is going to get more consistent, more better as the season goes on, and it just gives you that opportunity to let these young guys develop. I think Jordan Poole too. I think he's played kind of manning that second unit. You want to see him be a little bit more aggressive. I think that was it the Nuggets game. I think he had like 3 shots or whatever. And then bounce back against Kings again. So it's one of those. It's a growth thing, and I think that that's what this season is about. I think coming into it, we knew with this roster, the way it's constructed, we're not winning a championship with this playoff depth unless these young guys develop. And the only way you're going to do that is have them play in regular season games. And when your starters can give you a 20-point lead to play around with, all the better. So I'm very excited. I think tonight's game against the Suns, we're recording this like an hour before. So I think tonight's game is going to be another fun test. A good Western Conference team, a team that we thought that we would see last year in playoffs. So again, it's really just it's game 4 of 82, and the season for us doesn't even start till April. So this team's a walking 50-win team, just as is, and I think that's the floor. So loving what I'm seeing so far.
Chuck, I want to ask you, man. So first of all, Gotham fully agree. They're going to walk to 50. And I also agree this is not any time to panic necessarily. I'm also a prisoner of the moment though. So when see things that concern me, I just, I'm gonna overdo it. It's gonna keep me up at night.
Shoot.
I'm, it's again long weekend, guys. So give me a break. Chuck, the bench has sucked. My totally uneducated opinion on this so far, and my interpretation of this is the defense has been really, really bad. And that Wiseman and Kuminga have a really hard time playing together, which is something that's a concern now and probably going to be a long-term concern as long as those guys are, on the roster together. So is that about it, Chuck, or do you think there's more to it? And if that is it, can you kind of let us in on what's going on?
So I think what I do want to say, before we get into like the defensive side, and we are early in the season, there's a lot of things flying around. There's a lot of, like you said, there's panic, there's takes, there's really nasty looking stats. But what I do, I try to look for the things that are like translatable, things that are going to keep going. Like, there are those signs of Wiggins's aggression continuing. And I think what we've seen early on out of Wiseman, at least offensively, is that he's kind of been more directly assigned a role, because we saw him that rookie year. There were no expectations. The team was bad. There were no playmakers. There was no reason to just not let him do what he wants. Now he's really changing his shot diet. He's getting everything around the rim. We are still in early sample size season, but he finished 52% of his field goals as a roller as a rookie. He's up to 72% now.
Is that, I'm sorry, I gotta pause real quick. Is that the most tangible thing for both you guys? Like his hands for me this year, both catching the ball and finishing,
Yeah,
it is like a
100%.
night and day difference. And it was again 1.4 games here under my belt this year. So but
I think it's a health thing, and I think it's a confidence thing, because he looks like more together, he looks more balanced, but he just looks like he knows what he's doing. Like there were certain moments where I remember that one clip that went around a lot towards the end of last year, where I think it was he got a pass maybe 4 feet from the basket, and Draymond was sealing off the rim, and he just took a little jumper. Like he's not doing that. He's going through guys now. Like he's actively being aggressive. He's going big on big and trying to draw contact at the line. And the free throw results they kind of are what they are, but I like that he's being aggressive like that, because he can finish some of those. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing, is they're saying, you're going to dominate in this area. We know you can maybe expand your game outside, but that's not what we need you to do right now. But what that does also unfortunately mean is that he's sort of confined to that area defensively. And I think that's where a lot of the struggles for this unit are starting, because so much of what they're trying to do right now is keep him in drop, like deep drop, where he doesn't have to switch, because with the starting unit, it's Kevon gets switched out, whatever. He'll hold up, he'll funnel the guy, and then he'll switch off and he'll be fine. Wiseman's not quite like that. Like he can get blown by. He's not going to have those great recoveries. So it's really the job of the other 4 guys to keep everything together, so he doesn't have to move away from the paint. And when 2 of those 4 guys are Poole and Kuminga, who are, still kind of figuring things out on the defensive end, at least when they're off the ball, that's tough. And it puts a lot of pressure on Dante DiVincenzo, who's a great defender in his own right, and JaMychal Green, who's shown some pretty solid stuff. But that's a lot of pressure on those 2 to really sort of hold a defense together for that bench. And on top of that, you got like the spacing issues. It's just not the same without Otto Porter Jr., without Bielitsa, as many flaws as he had. He could stretch the floor. So yeah, I think that's sort of where you see this problem stemming, is putting so much defensive responsibility on the veterans, and then not really having anyone besides Jordan Poole who can hit perimeter shots or make plays.
I like what you said about the offensive part about Wiseman, though. Like that Wiseman Poole pick and roll has been like insane, and I think it speaks to what we've kind of seen in Wiseman's development, in terms of confidence with his hands and being kind of more assertive in the paint. But I feel like the biggest, I mean, Matt, before I don't want to move on from Wiseman before if you had any things, but I want to bring up Kuminga, like just in terms of like, where do you see his role kind of settling in? Because it seems like, Moses kind of has that, 3 and D, kind of a little bit more polished player as of right now, and his role kind of more, determined within the lineup. He's run with the starters in the fourth quarters for a couple of these games. He's had his second unit play, and I like the chemistry him and Poole have got. But JK really, as great of an athlete as he is, and the potential that we all know that he has, it just seems like he's having the hardest time to carve out a space in the second unit, I guess. And so, I mean, Chuck, Matt, what do you guys think in terms of what's the problem there, and how do you see that kind of fixing itself? Because he's too good of a player to be, struggling on both ends, as much as he has these first couple games.
I feel like you got two guys who want to be around the basket more than anywhere else, right? That's what going to thrive the most. Neither of them are awesome shooters right now. And the goal for both those guys offensively right now, like I think that was used to that Gautam, right? Simplified role, right? Just the most simple thing you could be doing for both those guys over Kuminga and Wiseman. And when they're both in the game, and again, just even in that first game, whenever one of those guys is in the paint, it felt like the other guy was right next to him. And Kuminga has actually shown a little bit of ability to have some dump off passes there, which has been cool. It's one of those things though that long term, that's kind of the concern though, is can those two guys be on the floor at the same time as a 4 or 5 combo if neither of them can shoot? And then if you're banking on one of those guys, especially Wiseman, stretching the floor, why is Wiseman out there as a role threat? You know what I mean? Like I think there's some weird confusing aspects of those two as a duo. I am curious, Chuck. I mean, is this a long term concern? Is this something that it's alleviated pretty quick? Do you think, or is it just they're young, they'll figure it out eventually?
I think sort of the real only immediate concern I have with any of these guys is, that someone's gonna get the squeeze. Like Poole's role is pretty locked in. I think Wiseman is locked in really for better or worse because he really is the only true backup center. And I don't mean that to say that he's been like playing poorly. It's just that, there really are no alternatives there. They have to depend on him a little more because they do have a lot of depth on the wings. They have Dante, I think, is going to be an important veteran, a secondary playmaker, really good point of attack defender who can, take the distraction away from Poole. And I think JaMychal Green is important to keep in there. As much as I would love to see some Moody at the 3, Kuminga at the 4 lineups, that also means Poole and Wiseman are probably out on the floor, and that's a lot to keep together. I love watching all of those guys, but the other thing too is, we've touched on the minutes restrictions for some of the vets early on. I think once we sort of see them a little more unleashed, then Kerr can start to mix the lineups more. And that's where I think you can see him start to expand the rotation a little bit, because I would imagine there are going to be some games where, Klay's going to have to rest or maybe scale it down a little bit. And then you can plug Moody into a lot of those minutes. You can even really plug him in as a starter. I love how ready he is for every game. It's been a little rocky to start, but
Do you think that I feel like Moody's kind of playing time was kind of a debate on at least a couple of these games. I feel like he kind of was the last guy off the bench or one of the last guys to come in. Do you think it's more so that the coaching staff knows that he's like ready to go in whatever situation you put him in, so they want to see the younger guys come out? Or is it just like we got a lot of young guys, it's just the way the ball kind of rolls at this point?
I think that is part of it. Like, if you know that you're going to get sort of this extra element of spacing from Moody, and I think you feel a lot more consistent about that, then you have to weigh that against sort of the inconsistencies you're seeing from Kuminga. But at the same time, I think Kuminga has shown that he's a guy who develops very quickly. Like he picks things up. So I think they're sort of seeing, like, while we're in this, early figure it out phase, why don't we at least give some deference to the guy in Kuminga who we know like will exponentially develop with these minutes, and a guy that we feel safe about, not getting cold or not getting not losing his confidence in Moses Moody if he's not, initially part of that rotation. Because, Moses is, not hitting the shots that we're accustomed to seeing him, but he's pulling up from like 26, 27 feet on some of these catch and shoots, and he's hitting them. Like the dude is limitlessly confident. And I think
Love it. Love that guy.
yeah, and it's great. And it's a good problem to have for the team that you have these guys who are NBA ready players. They're having struggles right now, but these are guys who would be getting minutes on just about any roster. And so the fact that they're competing for this time is good for the team. And it remains to be seen if that has any sort of tangible effect on these guys' developments. But I think you see like it's a long season. Guys are gonna miss time here and there. Guys are gonna have slumps. There are going to be lineup changes. So we'll see. I haven't seen anything that gives me no like confidence where it's just like, this guy does not look ready to fill this role, because they're going to try a lot of different things with that bench.
When you say squeeze, Chuck, I said that a while ago. Do you mean out the roster or out the rotation?
The rotation, not the roster. I mean, no one's roster spot is at stake right now. I wish Anthony Lamb's was, but that's a different thing that I don't want to get into.
Man, I wish we signed Quindary, man. That was
yeah,
that was a tough one.
I was all about Pat Spencer just getting the story, the lacrosse player to
good kid,
Golden State story, but also that Anthony Lamb is not great.
One thing too that I'm kind of keeping an eye on is what kind of has to happen for Patrick Baldwin to get in the game.
Interesting.
Because I think he looked really, really good in the preseason relative to sort of like the expectations for how ready he could be health-wise. And he's really the only guy I sort of worry about, like, maybe they start yo-yoing him with Santa Cruz when, the G League schedule starts to pick up a little more. But he's a guy I'd like to see him, get a little run in those garbage time minutes when, if Kuminga's getting, 15, 20 minutes of rotation time, does he need the 2 minutes of garbage time in the fourth quarter? Like, not as much as some other guys who are just looking to, build confidence at this point.
Yeah, I can tell you what it takes right now. Charlotte, second night of back-to-back. There it is.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
That smells like a Draymond rest night.
100%. 100%. Are either of you concerned about anything so far? I mean, the biggest thing for me is just still Wiseman looks like he's so focused on verticality that he forgets to move. That makes sense. Like the lack of timing on the defensive end to me is like, it's not just like bad. It's like, it's kind of strange to me. Some of the issues he has where he's not cutting off the basket at all when he jumps or when he moves, and it looks like he's just so focused on not fouling that he forgets where the defender is or where the defender is going, or sorry, where the ball is, where the ball is going. And I'm so curious long term how that ends up, because again, this is coming off a pretty naive opinion at this point, but the net rating stuff's so bad, and the defensive work is just it's so palpable and so obvious the issues he's having. I just don't know. Again, I'm the overreactor, 100%. I always have been. I always will be. This is it, dude. I don't know what this guy looks like in 7 months. It's gonna get better, I have no doubt, but it looks so far off right now to imagine this guy in a playoff rotation.
I just feel like, I think in terms of concern, like as of now, no, but like with the Wiseman stuff, I just think that as a defender, it's the hardest, kind of part to develop as a basketball player. I think we've seen that with so many players. Steph Curry, it took him 10, 11 years to develop into a decent defender. I think Klay, when he came in as a two-way player, it took him time. Same with like I guarantee you, there's like a number of players that it took time to develop. So for Wiseman right now, like in terms of concern, I don't think like the numbers are what it are or is what it is. And I really just think that it's game 4, or coming up on game 4. The concern is going to start coming in by All-Star break if some of these things haven't gotten better. Where do you see this going? But for right now, I think this is what you should like what we should have expected coming in. I think that we knew what we were getting with a guy like Wiseman. Just the lack of playing time, the injuries. So for him just to stay healthy and make it through the training camp, summer league, and now kind of start to develop into a rotation player he's right on track with what I think the development phase was going to be. And like the way I'm looking at it, like nothing's concerned until March or April when you're really starting to dive deeper into that playoff rotation. Just because the starters pool of they that you can win any game if you need to put those guys out there. So it gives you that luxury to let these guys learn. You're not gonna come out playing like the Dikembe Mutombo game 4 of the season. If you can do that, game 35, game 40, that's just the progression you're gonna see. And I think that it sucks that Twitter and a lot of the fan base, it feels like is not necessarily overreacting, but kind of reacting to Matt, you too, not like an overreacting kind of thing, but more so just like a wanting to see the fruits of the development when it takes time, and we're going through that phase right now. And it's really just wait and watch and hope just each game that you just get a little bit better. And by round 1, game 1, that's when the start date should be. So I got no concerns with the team right now. I really think that the luxury that they have with coming off I really want to underscore how huge it was to win that championship last year in terms of just starting off this like dynasty 2.0 is the way I kind of look at it. So to have that championship under your belt and to still have so much room to grow with these young guys, already having a just proven core that we can go out there and win any game for you. This regular season is gonna be fun. I tweeted it out a couple of days ago, but I was going back and forth with that one dude, Jim Park, I think it was his thing, and the
He's the best.
Big Kerr rotation monger and big Kerr hater, whatever it is. But I was basically like, yo, like it's development takes time. You might mortgage a couple regular season wins to develop play these guys a little bit longer than you might need to. But if you lose game 36, it doesn't really matter. If that makes sure that you can play in the playoffs, I'm all for it. So that's really that's my biggest concern, I guess, is can they develop right on time? But everything you've seen so far, I feel like they're on the right track. So no reactions or reactions from here.
I want to hear your thoughts in a sec, Chuck. I just want to commend Gotham real quick on consistently being the steady ass wait till the clock is up to make a decision moment, because I'm like Russ the other night versus Portland. Like I'm freaking out. I'm trading everybody with 10 seconds left, 15 seconds left. I'm shooting the mid range, and I'm bricking that thing back iron. Gotham is like Steph, working the paint for a minute, working the clock, and finding some dump off pass at the very end for a layup.
At the end, bro, you got 24 seconds, bro.
There.
You don't have to make a decision for 23. You're good, bro. You're good.
Chuck,
pull up from 30, you still probably make it.
Chuck is like he's Darvin Ham watching me shoot the shot, probably losing his fucking mind. And that's about it. But anyway, so Chuck, where are you at with all this, man? And again, I also want to say it's for all the people freaking out, like, hey, this team's boned. This is the best position to be in because Gotham's totally spot on. This team is relaxed and they need to be relaxed, and this is the best position to be in. They are going to lose some games like this because they're rolling out like 5-man units that they're not going to play in the playoffs.
They're platooning
things out. Yeah, 100%.
Kerr plays like 8 guys in the playoffs. Like this is all about just finding what works for April.
Exactly,
we're good, bro. It's October.
100%. So Chuck, where are you at though, man? With that, just everything right now.
And I think you said it really well there. Like, when we get down to it in the playoffs, it will probably be an 8-man rotation, and you've got the core 6. You've got the 2 veterans they added in DiVincenzo and JaMychal Green. And I think really the question that this Warriors staff has to answer throughout the regular season, besides can they keep everyone healthy and engaged, is are any of these young guys going to take one of the spots from DiVincenzo or Green? Because it's not the end of the world if they don't. Those guys are both really good. They've showed a lot of stuff early in the season. I think JaMychal Green's going to be a really fun sort of spacing guy to have in there, especially when you go with some Draymond at the 5 lineups. He can slide in there be the 4. You got like 2 big physical mobile guys. And Dante is an elite guy getting around screens. So when you're gonna have a ton of minutes of, probably a full 48 of Stephen Poole in the playoffs, you got to have a guy out there who can get around those screens and take the pressure off them. So, nothing I've seen so far is really like overly concerning. And if anything, there have been, sort of some surprising positives with Wiggins keeping things up like he is, Wiseman sort of finding a groove on offense.
Yeah, I think you kind of hit it. I like the idea that this team's deep enough for the youngsters to not pop and the Warriors still have a chance. It's a pretty good position to be in. And like you said, 8-man roster, they have 8 guys. So they're in a good spot long term. And I'm again looking forward to a fun season. With that being said, we're gonna wind down in just a moment. Gautam, you said this team walks to 50 wins. I'm guessing you're gonna guess a little higher than that. Let's get some quick little record predictions, boys. What are you guys thinking? Chef, let's start with you. What do you think we're getting this year?
I think, what was it, 53 last year?
Yep, 53.
That seems like a really fair mark. I think they might end up losing a little bit of that because they sort of really had some magic together with that bench, but I think we're going to see a lot more health out of the starters. So ultimately, I think they end up right around 51, 52. I think you're going to see a little more leeway with the bench guys as, like I said, they try to figure out who can potentially take these spots. But yeah, I think as long as this team is, able to avoid any serious injury, like you said, Gotham, they're going to walk to 50.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a homer. It's gonna take a lot of me to not say at least 60. I genuinely think that they have the time to do it. I'm gonna draw a line at maybe 56, 57. I do think that there are gonna be some games this season where they lose. Just developing young guys might play them a little longer than needed. And there's just gonna be clunkers along the way. So I'll draw the line at 56, but I genuinely think that this team is a 60 plus win team. The starting 5 is the best. I would say I'd put them against any other team in the league. I love Steph's playing on an unreal level. We're still getting Klay and Draymond back to full conditioning. Lewin's looking great. JP's there. Wiggs has been amazing. So with those 6 guys, you can win any game out there. So I'll draw it at 56, but I'll take the over on that.
I like it. 56 sounds nice. What did they do in 15, 16?
Is that 73?
Yeah, I'm thinking
Take that. 73. I love it.
No, I kind of like I like where Chuck's at. I think before this I probably would have said right about where you are, Gotham, but I think just given the lineups they're throwing out there, and I think the idea that these guys really know who they are, I don't think it's going to be some super competitive season in the sense that I think, to quote, the immortal Steve Kerr, I don't know if they're chasing wins this year necessarily. So I don't think they're going to push Steph at all past 34, 35, 36 minutes. They really don't have to. Granted, it's going to be tough in the West this year because the West is so good and so deep. So we'll see how they're able to actually do that. But I'm going to say 54 wins. I think 54 wins is a good number this year. Chuck, it's not crazy off from yours. Neither from yours got them, but this is a solid 50-win team. And if they gave all the shits in the world, I think I don't think it's crazy to say approaching or surpassing 60, man. I love that, dude. So who knows?
We are so predictable. Like, I'm going to have the most conservative guess. Gotham is going to have like the most sky
most
high.
top.
And that's going to be in the
Take
middle.
the over on it. No, I love it. I love it. But before we get out of here, man, we got a game against the Suns tonight. Obviously, this is gonna drop after the result of this game, but yeah, we've done these game predictions before. Chuck, Matt, what we got? We got a dub against the Suns tonight.
Yeah, the people can either look back at us and laugh or be like, "Oh, they knew something."
Hey, if they lose, maybe we'll get an insider and we'll up our collective IQ, I guess.
We'll reach out to those in the know since we're just local fans. But I think, man, Warriors offense is rolling 125 points per game to start the season. I think Suns are great, but that's tough to stop. They look low on depth since the boss man is back at home awaiting a trade. So
tough.
Yeah, I'm going 118-109 dubs tonight. I think they are just going to keep it rolling. This Phoenix team has got a lot of questions to figure out.
You know what? I'm gonna say 118, 109 Dubs. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna say 120, 113. Our Warriors going home with the win. They're on the road tonight, right?
Yeah, we're going on the road.
Hey, there we are. Yeah, so they're in my backyard, man. What am I doing here?
Got
The
check it
wallet.
out, man.
That's what
Hit
it is.
the can whatever Sunstick Arena, Candlestick Arena, whatever it's called.
Footprint.
Footprint. That's what it is.
Footprint,
No, I'm
sure.
with you guys. It would be off brand for me to say the Warriors lose. I'd never say that. Dubs
God, we're gonna get
122.
us 122, Gotham. I was waiting for
122. I
140,
think
man.
we get a Steph continues the hot streak, man. 122, 10, 110, 122, 110. The defense ain't there yet. But got 3 dubs, man. Three Warriors dubs. But as always, before we get out of here, boys, any shout outs? Anything you guys wanna plug before we get out of here?
Oh, as always, you can check me out at Claytheist11. I'm gonna be doing a little stuff on the Young Dubs this season for a new site. You can check out swishtheory.com. Had a bunch of buddies throw that together. They had the graciousness to have me do some dub stuff there. So you can catch me there along with outletpass.net with my usual stuff. But yeah, and if you find yourself on Twitter coming across any really disgusting, abhorrent stats, please send them to me because I'm
At
definitely
Claytheist 11.
going to be keeping this compilation up throughout the season. How about
Love
you,
it.
fellas?
Yeah, I've been really, really working on my gift game. So
It's
please check
it's
it
getting to
out.
elite territory, man. It's getting
Just
elite.
it's all I live for.
Just
So
because you're great doesn't mean you can't keep working.
no, there's always
Exactly.
the Warriors are striving for improvement right now and they're champions. So that's how I'm approaching my season. So give it a go. I'm upping it to Wedding Crashers gifts given my long weekend. So I've got Lord of the Rings, Dodgeball, Wedding Crashers, you name it, they're all coming. Okay, guys, you hold on tight.
Love it. Love it. Those gifts
Amazing.
are the best whenever they pop up. For me, man, follow me at Gautam Random NBA. Follow Gamesters Klay. I love getting into some of these Twitter arguments, so please start some beef. Let's rip it. It's a great time arguing with you guys. I love Twitter for that. But other than that, man, thank you so much, guys, for listening again. We're back. We're gonna be posting this stuff on Spotify. I want to start getting these up on YouTube. So you guys can check us out. And yeah, keep following, keep listening. Go Dubs, man. It's gonna be a fun season. It's gonna be a wild ride, but we got all the content you need right here at Game Clay. But until then, thank you guys for listening and peace.